Welcome to the show, everybody. First of all, Merry Christmas Eve to everyone watching this. As you can tell, donning my King's ugly sweater for the occasion. But let's get right to it. The Kings just had a 6-game homestand, went 4-2, but finished on a pretty sour note, finishing 1-2, getting blown out against the Celtics. And that game, it was over almost before it started. It was similar to the second Clippers game. They started the first quarter was pretty close, but you could just tell it wasn't going to end well the way it was going. For me, it was all the threes that the Kings and the Celtics were battling, going back and forth with threes. To me, that's not the Kings game. Kings gamers not threes. If they're shooting a lot of threes, sooner or later they're going to start missing it, and it's going to get ugly before it gets better. And that is exactly what happened that game. They were shooting a lot of threes in the first quarter. They were falling. But as the game wore on, they started missing it. And then the Celtics just slowly started building up that lead. I believe at one point it even got up to 30 points. And it was like, yeah, this is not pretty at all. And the Kings just played right into the Celtics' hands there, because the Celtics were coming off an overtime game against the Warriors, the second night of a back-to-back. You need to play physical with a team like that. You can't let them get off the hook by playing just tossed by shooting threes over and over and over, because you're not going to get them tired. You're not going to wear them down. And they were without Tatum. They did have Porzingis, which I knew was going to be a problem because he's one of those stretch fives that can just shoot outside as well. So to me, that game was over by halftime, and it never got really close again. Then they had a real strong showing against the Suns. They were up by 29 at one point. The Suns had KD, and Booker didn't have Beal. He's hardly played this year. But the Kings came out and they just stuffed it down their throat and said, okay, we are here. We're here to win this game. And that game was really never in doubt. And then the following night, last night against the T-Wolves, same thing as not really the same thing. I was at work, so I really didn't get to watch much of it. But again, a back-to-back. They are 0-4 this year on back-to-backs. And for the most part, those back-to-backs, that second game, it's not pretty. I don't know what it is. They just don't have that energy on that second night. And it shows, and it's just not there. They come out flat, and they just get destroyed from tip-off. They tried to make a comeback in the fourth quarter. They're down by 5 with like a minute left, but then it ended up being ballooning up to 12. If the problem is when you get down by so much, you work so hard and expend so much energy just to get back in the game. By the time you get back, you're exhausted, and then the other team goes on a 5-0 run. Next thing you know, and that's what happened with the Kings. They were down by like 15-20 at one point in the second quarter, and then all of a sudden it was 30-30. They tied it. The T-Wolves called the timeout, and next thing you know, it's 52-39 or 55-39 or something. It's like they went on like a 15-2 run, the T-Wolves, after it was tied 30-30. And you just can't have that defensive lapse. Gobert was killing them. It was not pretty. They need to figure out what is going on with those back-to-backs. Here in, let's see, today's the 24th. So in about 5 days, Barnes will be trade eligible. And I believe that is when you'll start hearing a lot more rumors about trades possibly going to be happening with the Kings. Because Barnes, with his contract signing this over the summer offseason, he's not eligible to be traded to December 29th. So that's when trades will start. You'll be hearing a lot more Kings chatter, I believe, on trades. And I believe the Kings do know they need help with defense. So they've already made it noted they're not going to trade Keegan Murray. I believe with Keon Ellis showing promise on the being in the rotation, and Davion Mitchell no longer being in the rotation, I have a feeling Barnes and Mitchell will be traded, probably with a draft pick. There's people are saying Herter, but I don't think Herter will be traded. They like him because he's young. He's part of that starting unit. So the two main people will be Barnes, Mitchell. I mean, maybe Kessler, as Edwards, a couple of those small people like that. Duarte really he needs to step up. I thought he would be a bigger piece. He's decent on the offensive end, on defensive end, but offense he just brings nothing. His shot is not falling at all. They keep trying to give him minutes, but he's just not doing anything. Last night they did miss Monk. I believe they're 1-4, 1-3 this year without Monk in the lineup. He's a big part of that bench unit. He comes in, brings the energy. It helps with him being a ball handler. He's averaging, I believe, more assists this year so far than he has in his career, which is big. He's more of a playmaker than I even thought he was, but he has good chemistry with the bigs, with the pick and roll. He'll start going. He knows when to pass. He knows when to go for it. So that's big. Alex Lynn should be coming back here sometime probably the first week of the new year. So that'll be big. I feel like JaVale McGee did well, but there's moments where it's like, oh, what are you doing? But that'll be another big thing. Alex Lynn back. He's another big body that'll help if McGee ever gets in foul trouble. Sabonis gets in foul trouble. But I mean, it can't be too bad. The record's 17-11, better than it was last year at this point. They've had some big wins. They've beat the Nuggets, the T-Wolves, OKC twice. They beat the Lakers. They beat the Warriors. They've beat the top tier teams in the Western Conference, but it's just those back-to-backs. They just don't do well with those back-to-backs. And certain teams, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, or not the Grizzlies, they play them coming up though. The Grizzlies, Pelicans. Pelicans just have their number. Pelicans are 3-0 against Kings. Kings haven't looked good against them at all. So it's going to be interesting to see come the trade deadline what the Kings are able to do, who they are able to get, and if that will affect who they are able, if they're able to keep Monk come this off season. So leave a comment below. What do you think the Kings should do come the trade deadline? Who do you think is untouchable? Who do you think they should keep? Who do you think has to go? And who do you think maybe should possibly play a bigger role come this going into this new year? Leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe, light the beam.